Hello everyone. How's your day? I hope you all are doing absolutely fine. Welcome to our slash entitled parents, where we form more stories from that sub. Real quick though, how are there so many posts on this sub? Like this is one of the sub that I can do a daily post if I want. Like this first story where we have a dad being annoyed that his son want to watch something that's like an hour away. Please enjoy.
Entitled Dad and Brother Try to Control a Trip They Won't Be Going On. Background: I, 20M, have been having a rough year. I've been attending college and before recently was on a streak of poor or failing grades that lasted 2 quarters through a combination of burnout, poor management, and plain old depression. This has delayed my advancement to a bachelor's to next year. Luckily, I'm doing much better this quarter due to a lighter load and making extra sure I don't start slipping. So recently the 4th My Hero Academia movie released in theaters. I've been following the manga for about 2 years, and I've been rewatching it with my mother recently, so we were planning on going to see it. However, I was only about 3 to 4 weeks into the quarter and I was paranoid about slipping back into the previous 2 quarters. So, I delayed it until my midterms were over and I was confident that I wasn't just going to go 3 for 3 and truly screw myself over. The issue is that I wasn't aware that anime movies don't stay in theaters as long as normal movies. In the week or 2 that I had put it off, the theaters near me had already stopped showing it. However, there was one place still showing it a couple hours away, so not all hope was lost. I'm still doing training for my driver's license, so I made a plan to go bus hopping to go see it. It would take a while, but it wasn't like I had anything pressing besides work or school. The woes of having all your friends at distant colleges. My mother had only reached season 6, the movie takes place early in season 7, so I was just going to see it now and watch it again with her once it went onto streaming services. I inform my family of my plans and Entitled Dad immediately declares that it's not going to happen. He made some decent points like the possibility of being stranded if something wrong and the bus failed, the cost of the bus fare, how hard it would be to reach me if something went wrong. But the core of his argument was literally just, it's dumb, and referencing a time last year when I took a train to visit a friend a city over and the bus was late, resulting in a delay. He twisted this into me being an hour late and needing to be picked up before I reached the destination because of that. I was always going to be picked up at the last leg. It was either that or walk 15 minutes. Refusing to listen to what had actually happened. Upon hearing this, my mother offered to just drive together since she did not care as much as I had assumed about seeing the movies in the correct chronological order. We eventually worked out a time. I bought the tickets and everything seemed fine. I made it clear to her that she didn't need to go just for me and I thought that was that. Then Entitled Dad found out. He immediately goes straight to me to repeat that this is dumb and shouldn't be happening. The problem is that all his valid arguments from before were nullified by the fact that I was going with someone else and not relying on the bus system. So all he had left was saying, it's dumb to drive an hour and a half to see a movie and what I'm about to get to next. The counter to the first point that my brother drives longer to see his concerts on the regular was met with a simple, they're not the same, with no attempt at anything deeper. They really aren't, they're both entertainment, so it just comes down to how much enjoyment you get out of it. I detest crowds and loud noise, so I wouldn't go to a concert the same way my brother wouldn't drive to the movie. Furthermore, Entitled Dad framed the delay as a failing on my part, telling me to stop using it as an excuse and just accept my punishment. He continually hammered home that I could have made time for it, but I chose not to, refusing to see it as anything but a scheduling issue rather than a priority one. But then came the worst of it. Entitled Dad and my brother spent the next couple days trying to convince me that no, my mother didn't actually want to see the movie. She was only going because I wanted to, and in the words of my brother, that's why she tolerates the show. They reiterated that I was pressuring her into wasting an entire day just to make me happy. I genuinely felt awful that I might be taking up a bunch of her time to do something she had no interest in, so I called her up. She spends most of her time recently at the old house she is renovating to rent out, and made it expressly clear to her that she didn't need to do this if she didn't want to, that I could ultimately wait the 6 months for it to hit streaming platforms, and she reconfirmed that she wanted to go see it with me. Let me remind you that this is a trip that they're not going on. That doesn't impact them in any way. They just feel the need to override what the people going on the trip want because they're convinced that they know better. But they kept bringing it up with the same points as the planned date drew closer. That I was selfish for going through with this, that I didn't actually care about what she wanted and just wanted to see my movie, that I needed to be the bigger person and tell her to cancel it instead of just giving her the option to do it. They kept telling me that my mother was lying to me, that I shouldn't trust what I heard or saw, but that they were right. And when I didn't have a response to, "We're right no matter what she says or what you see," my brother would smugly claim, "You don't have response. You know we're right." And every conversation would end with entitled dad incoherently shrieking at me that I needed to cancel it and stop being selfish. Even calling up my mother to check again that she wanted to go, and her eventually deciding to directly talk to them just got entitled dad to go to me immediately afterwards to start another rant. And as always, no new points were made. The day finally came. My mother and I left early to catch the noon screening. I paid for the tickets and gas. And we had a great time. We listened to OSP's hour-long Mummy video on the way over, chatted about fantasy as I tried and failed to explain Warhammer to her, and grabbed some lunch. The movie was, well, an anime movie, mostly just build up to the final fight scene. But the animation was fantastic, the villain really carried the movie with his sheer pure evil flair, and my mother enjoyed the romantic subplot between the movie original characters. I would have preferred that they used the female lead of the series more, but that's a criticism shared for all the movies. We drove back, and while we did get stuck in a traffic pileup that delayed us an hour, we both thought it was a satisfying day. Entitled dad and my brother still dismissed the whole thing as completely stupid, and my brother in particular made comments about how he'd seen the movie and it was absolutely not worth it. He also says the same thing about the series, but I've seen the merch on his shelves. He's got way more than I do. Seems he doesn't like enjoying the popular thing, even weeks afterwards.
You know, from where I'm from, driving an hour is pretty damn close. I did this every day when I was in college. Anyway, this situation reflects a mix of personal boundaries, family dynamics, and differing perspectives on priorities and enjoyment. You clearly put effort into balancing your responsibilities, school, work, and personal time, and your decision to delay seeing the movie until after midterm shows commendable prioritization. However, the ongoing conflict with your dad and brother appears rooted in control, differing values, and perhaps an inability on their part to respect your autonomy.
I can't stand my spoiled sister anymore. My mother is working all day to the point where I only see her after 10 if I'm lucky, and sometimes in the morning if she leaves her first job earlier, or if I get up earlier to have breakfast with her before she goes out to take my sister to class. She is still in elementary school. Thanks to this, my mother feels very guilty for not being at home as much and not seeing either of us, especially my sister, who is the one she sees the least because of her school schedule. This plays an important role, I think. My sister is less insufferable when my mother is home, disrespecting me in more subtle ways to see me explode, and in my mother's eyes, I'm the problem there. When my mother is not there, she insults me and disrespects me 80% of the time she speaks to me. She loves to repeat to me over and over again that I don't contribute anything at home and that she does everything when I am the one doing the housework. I cook dinner for her and my mother. I help her when I can, and I listen to her when she tells me things about school and more, regardless of how tired I am, how bad my day has been, or how stressed I am about school, especially now that I'm in final exam time, while she watches. She complains about absolutely everything. The appearance of the food, which, by the way, she always repeats the dish, that she's hungry and that I should hurry more, that her head hurts, that she is bored, and many more complaints. She tells me that she doesn't care to listen to me at all, that she likes to minimize my effort and make me feel bad, and sometimes miraculously helps at home, and then dedicates herself to complaining 50 times that she did that to not help with anything else. Obviously, I end up stressed, and you could say that after doing so many things at the same time, I can't give her a smile from one moment to the next, and she takes advantage of this when my mother comes home. Afterwards, I get scolded by my mother, saying that I am mistreating my sister when she provokes me in front of my mother. If she lies, saying that I am bothering her, I receive a shouting scolding while she smiles, and my mother more than once has called me selfish, narcissistic, and blah blah blah. I try to complain, and generally my sister gets a scolding just like, "Stop messing with your sister's body," or "You have to do more things at home," and that's it. She may even be disrespecting me in front of my mother, and she only intervenes when I answer to try to get my sister to shut up. In general, this accumulates until I explode, and I don't usually pay attention to what my mother tells me because I know it's not true, but lately, it makes me feel terrible, and all I can do is hold back tears all the time. I don't know what to do anymore, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or not. Yes, I used AI to translate this post from Spanish to English. Sorry for some kind of translation error.
It's clear you're navigating a challenging and emotionally taxing situation at home. Balancing household responsibilities, your education, and dealing with a lack of support or understanding can feel overwhelming. But I think that's how elementary students are. They really want attention.
I turned down the creepy advances of a kid, and he called his mom. This is a little bit of an old story, but my friend said I should put it when I told it to him. So in my neighborhood, the park is where all of the weird people spawn. I was just hanging out there existing like a normal person. I was wearing one of my favorite outfits, which is a blue exercise skirt and a blue crop top. It's an absolutely amazing outfit. I love it. He came up to me. He seemed around the same age as me. And then he started sexually flirting with me, so I turned him down. I explained I have a girlfriend, and I'm not a cheater. And then he said, "Don't you want to be with a man?" in this very offended tone. And I told him no, and to frick off. As he was starting to get a bit mean, and I was starting to get uncomfortable, and then he went back off, so I said all three of my brothers can fight, and my dad will, and can run you over. It wasn't as a completely honest threat. One of my brothers can't fight. But it scared him off temporarily. He got his mom to come yell at me about his evil I would turn down her baby boy, how he's so amazing, and how I should just accept him, and how I'm a whore for wearing the outfit I was wearing. I told her fuck you, and I walked home. I had my mom post on the neighborhood Facebook group, so I feel like they may have gotten socially outcast cause it's happened before anyways, yet that was a fun interaction I had.
Wow, that sounds like quite the intense and unpleasant encounter. It's frustrating and unacceptable that people sometimes feel entitled to your attention or try to shame you for simply existing as yourself. You handled the situation with strength, especially given how uncomfortable it must have been.
Caught my mom looking through my phone. My family has never been like others, where they express their feelings or talk openly about problems. Because of this, I've always been a very sad kid and a very private adult. I'm 22. My mom has a history of obsessing over people who are no longer in my life. For these reasons, I haven't told her about my boyfriend. One day, she saw me getting out of his car on the street and threatened to go talk to him unless I told her more about him. We had a fight and she ended up not going. At home, she told me the only things she needed to know were whether he treated me well and his age. I answered those questions, thinking that was the end of it. Fast forward a few days, I caught her looking through my phone. I don't have a password. I asked her what she was doing and she lied, saying she was just putting it on my desk instead of my bed. I let it go, but today I woke up to the sound of her entering my room at 8 a.m. She tried to take my phone, and I moved so she'd know I was awake. She pretended to clean something and left. 15 minutes later, she came back and took my phone for real. I didn't want to confront her because I'm seeing my now long-distance boyfriend today, and I didn't want her to punish me. She looked through my phone for a few minutes and then left. Now I've set a password, but I'm completely devastated by the invasion of my privacy. What do you think?
Your feelings of frustration, sadness, and violation are entirely valid. What your mom is doing, invading your privacy, looking through your phone, and trying to control your personal relationships, is not respectful behavior, especially now that you're an adult. Hey there! If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. It really helps out the channel. And if you want more content like this, make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay fine.